Alright, hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kels, and today we're going to be talking about my experience with PCOS. Alright, so today we're going to be discussing PCOS. I didn't take notes, so I'm just going to kind of go with the flow, and I'm going to let you guys know my experience. So I was officially diagnosed with PCOS October of 2017, so like 4 months ago. And I've been struggling with this for about 2 years. So basically it all started after my 22nd birthday in 2016. My birthday is February 18th, which is next week. So I'm just grateful to be here, and hopefully I make it to my birthday and I can say that I lived another year. But if God grants me that, then I would be so gracious and happy. But you know, you never know what could happen. So yeah, what was I about to say? So after my 22nd birthday, I noticed that my periods weren't coming. So it was like this big old fiasco with my boyfriend. Like, he thought I was pregnant and I thought I was pregnant, and we were taking like 1,000,002 pregnancy tests, and they were all coming back negative. And I named the baby Margarita, like everything. So Margarita is my hormone baby, and he laughs at me because he was like, Margarita here. So now, like, if I don't feel good or I'm on my period, he just says, Margarita's in there, ain't she? And it's funny, but no, we just try to laugh about it, and it keeps me from like being overwhelmed and crying to just laugh about the situation. But yeah, so I thought I was pregnant, and then probably a month later I started getting these intense abdominal pains to the point where I would be falling to the floor in pain, and or like crouched over in a fetal position in pain. And I had these like really serious like abdominal pains, and I've never experienced pain. I've never been sick. There's never been anything major wrong with me. So immediately I was scared. So I went to the doctor, which is my normal doctor, which I don't go to him anymore because obviously he sucks. So he basically violated me because I hadn't had my period, but I was spotting by the time I went to the doctor. And when I say I was spotting, like, usually my periods are super heavy. And, you know, at this time, like, okay, my period had finally came, but it was like a little bit of blood. It wasn't like what I usually get. So at this point, like, I was just spotting, but it started to get worse. Like, the blood started coming back, and and as heavy as it usually is, and it wouldn't stop. So when I went to his first doctor, he violated me. Basically, he did a vaginal exam, and he stuck his big ass, nasty ass hands up my vagina. I don't even want to think about it. And you know what made it so awkward was he was talking to me the whole time like this was normal. Like, no, you're in my vagina. Like, we're not about to have a conversation while you're in my vagina, sir. Sorry. So it was just so uncomfortable, and he like made the pain like even worse because he was pressing on my side where it was hurting to try to see like if something was wrong. Like, I couldn't bear the pain, so I was in there screaming. So I have had to get an ultrasound, a vaginal ultrasound, and that was even more violating, even more pain. They take this big rod, like, I can't even, it's so big it won't fit in the camera frame, but they take this big rod with a ball at the top of it, and they shove it up in you, and they like, the ball has the camera on it, and they like take pictures of your ovaries. That came back normal. So at this point, like, I'm waiting around. I waited for a whole month for my results, which that's what pissed me off. Like, if I'm in pain and I don't know what's going on and I'm scared, don't wait a month to give me my results. So I never went back to him off the back of that, and I went to an OBGYN, and I went there, and they did another pregnancy test. Wasn't pregnant. What else happened? I'm trying to remember. Oh, they did a bunch of labs and blood tests and stuff like that. At this point, I was anemic, severely anemic, vitamin D deficient. I was sick, I was tired, I was nauseous, I was losing it. Like, I just wanted to know what was wrong with me. So I went to the OBGYN. I saw a nurse practitioner because the doctor that I was recommended wasn't available, and I needed to get this done immediately. Sorry if I'm looking down because I'm like in my thoughts. So she reviewed all my labs and my ultrasound and all that stuff. Everything was back normal. So she was like, I assume it's just stress and your cycle should go back to normal and blah, 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 blah. And then the next day she called me and was like, you should come in and get this birth control implant. I think this is the best for you and blah, blah, blah. So I got the Nexplanon implant put in. The worst decision of my life because it's what caused me to almost die. So if you have any like menstrual cycle issues, do not get Nexplanon. It's going to make it worse. So basically, like, I got the implant put in like the next day or so. And I was prescribed progesterone, and I was prescribed that because when I came back, she was like, no, I got the implant the next week. So when I came back, she was like, oh, are you still bleeding? And I'm like, yeah. And I haven't stopped. So at this point, I was bleeding for like a month and a half straight. And that's the first time that had ever happened. So I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? So I got the Nexplanon put in, and then like the progesterone is what got my bleeding to stop. And then after that, I really didn't have periods. Like, I just had a little bit of spotting here and there, like every other month or so. So but then like I still didn't feel good. Like, it just wasn't, I just didn't feel good. Like, I was nauseous, I was sweaty, sometimes I was freezing cold, like I was just off. You just know when your body's off. So I went to another doctor, and basically like he was summing it up like, you just fat as hell, and that's why you're having issues. And I had to explain to this man that I've been fat my whole life, and that I know that I'm fat, and that I know that this problem that I'm having is not pertaining to me being fat, because I've been fat my whole life and I've never had this issue. So he's like, yeah, you probably got diabetes and all this shit. And my labs come back like super good, and he's like, oh, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. I was like, you could have just said that from the get-go instead of just like fat shaming me and making me feel like I'm just gonna die because I'm fat and blah blah blah. So he sent me to an endocrinologist, because what was going on with my labs, the only thing that was coming back messed up was my prolactin levels. And prolactin is a hormone in your body that allows women to create breast milk, and that's usually something that pregnant women have because they create breast milk for their babies. So my prolactin levels just kept going up and up and up and up. Like, every month they would go higher. So he sent me to an endocrinologist, and I went to see her for about 6 to 7 months, for real. And all she was doing was taking my blood and telling me that my progesterone was going up and da 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 da. So she finally prescribed me some medication to get my prolactin levels down. And after she got those down, like, I still was having issues with the bleeding and stuff. So we didn't know what was causing what, because at first they thought that the high prolactin levels was causing the messed up periods and stuff like that, but that wasn't the case. And then also with my prolactin levels being so high, they thought that I had a tumor in my brain. So I had to get an MRI. The worst experience of my life. Like, I cried. It's like being in a tunnel with your arms down at your side and you're unable to move. So it took like 45 minutes. So I was laying there in a tunnel for 45 minutes, unable to move anything. And then I didn't know I was claustrophobic until I got in there, and I just had to get through it because I needed to know what was wrong with me. But the MRI ended up coming back normal. And then also, what also pissed me off, the OBGYN that I went to before, the second doctor, the OBGYN, the nurse practitioner lady, she told me that all my labs were normal. My prolactin levels was high. So I was walking around with these high prolactin levels, and this was causing me to have like severe migraines and headaches and stuff like that. And the third doctor is the one who noticed that they were off. because I never actually had my lab results in my hand. I just went based off of what the nurse practitioner told me, and she told me they were normal, but they weren't. So I never went back to them because obviously nobody gave a shit. And so, and then the third doctor, he was just trash. And then Dr. Karudi is basically the one who was like getting my hormone levels, because she was an endocrinologist. So they study your blood levels. So she was making sure like my hormones were normal, my prolactin levels were normal, my blood sugar, everything in your body, all the chemistries of your body. She was making sure they were all normal. So once they all became normal, it was just kind of like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know why you're still bleeding. So I was like, okay, I gotta figure out what's wrong with me. So I finally went to this lab, which is my new doctor, my current doctor. She's also a nurse practitioner. So I finally went to her. And the difference between her and all of them is that she has her own practice, and she's also a holistic practice. So she tries to find ways that can help you without giving you like all these crazy medicines and things to do. So she basically was like, I'm telling her everything that I'm telling you guys now, and she's going through all my labs, and she's like, what the hell? Like, she's like, how long have you been going through this? I'm like, 2 years. And she's like, yo, like, you got PCOS. I could have told you that based off when you first started talking. And I was like, well, I've been mentioning that to all these doctors, and they all say I didn't have it. And they said it was based off my lab results. They couldn't. Yeah, so she was saying that basically, like, based off my lab results, it'll show that I'm healthy, but based off my symptoms, it'll show that I have PCOS. So she went ahead and diagnosed me, and I had to get another ultrasound, and I had to took 2 more rounds of progesterone, and the bleeding would not stop. So at this point, I had started bleeding July 20th, and by the time I got to her, it was September 28th or something like that, the end of September. So that's July, August, September. So that's 3 months. And then by the time the bleeding stopped, it was mid-October. So I was going into 4 months of bleeding. So at that point, which I explained in one of my tutorials, I was sick as a dog. Like, I didn't even know what was going on around me half the time. Like, I was just trying to survive. So I had lost so much blood that it was like, it was awful. I was lucky to wake up in the morning, basically. And they were going to hospitalize me, but luckily the day that she called me and was like, if the bleeding's not stopping, you going to the hospital, I stopped bleeding because I did not want to go to the hospital. So with all of that, like, it was just a lot. So I'm finally on this medication. It's a birth control pill, and it's basically estrogen and some other hormone, but it's a minimum birth control pill. Like, there's not a lot of extraness in it. So it's estrogen, and I'm about to look it up. Okay, so it's estrogen and progestin, and it's called, I don't know what the hell it's called, but yeah, so that's been helping. So basically, like, I'll bleed for like 3 to 4 days, and then I'll start the pill back up, and it'll stop. So that's basically how it goes for me. So as long as I keep the bleeding to a minimum, I think I'll be okay. But it's just been a really, really hard experience. With it has come like lots of facial hair, what else, weight gain, nausea, headaches, sickness, like fatigue. I'm vitamin D deficient, I'm anemic. With it has come a lot of stuff, and it has really impacted my life emotionally, physically, and spiritually, everything. Like, it really has impacted my life, and I'm trying not to cry right now because I feel like I'm gonna cry. But that's what's been going on with me. Also, like, I wanted to let you guys know about the next one on. So let me see if I can get my arm out of here without getting naked. I'm gonna show y'all the scars on my arm. So this is my arm, and I have this scar, which was the incision that went in, and then I have this scar from where she cut me up trying to get the thing out. So basically, they put a little incision in your arm, and they slide this implant in your arm, and it sits like right here. You could feel it. It feels nasty when it's in there too. And basically what it does is slowly injects hormones into your body at a slow rate over the course of 3 years. I think it lasts like 3 years. I kept mine in for less than a year. So when she got it out, it took her like an hour to get the thing out of my arm. And she said if she couldn't get it out, I was most likely going to have surgery. Because basically what it is, like when they went in, I was like 200 pounds, a little bit under 200 pounds, like 195 or something. When they went to get this thing out of me, I was like 230. So like I gained like 40 pounds on this shit. And basically what it did was throw my cycle off even more. And it made me bleed even worse. So I didn't get my period when I got the thing taken out. I got it taken out in February. I didn't get my period until like May. And every time I got my period, it will take like 2 to 3 weeks for my period to stop. Then when I got to July, my July period, it would not stop at all. And nobody wanted to give me medication for it. Everybody kept saying, you need to come back in, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I got to the point where I was like, you either going to give me some medicine or I'm going somewhere else. Because I'm not going to keep paying these co-pays and coming in here and all y'all doing is taking blood and saying y'all don't know what's wrong with me. Like I was getting pissed off. So I ended up going to another doctor altogether. And now I have a shitload of medical bills. I have a shitload of everything based off of everything that they put me through, when all they had to do was listen to me and listen to what I had to say. Because they could have killed me. It was a lot. My relationship suffered a whole lot because I couldn't do the same things that I did for my boyfriend. I couldn't cook, clean, be intimate, anything. I didn't want to be touched. I was bleeding. I felt nasty. I felt dirty. I felt stinky to be bleeding all the time. My skin around my bottom and everything else was suffering. My facial skin, everything, like my whole body was like deteriorating right before my eyes, and I couldn't do anything about it. And so like to be here today is such a blessing. And I just want to tell you guys that sometimes you gotta go through the storm to get to the sunshine. So it'll be okay. But basically, like, all of this has inspired me to live my life to the fullest, because you don't know when it's gonna be over. And it's also inspired me to like keep pushing and tell my story so other people know through this experience. And another thing that was really hard for me is that I don't have my mother in my life. And so like I'm calling my dad like, Dad, this is happening and this is happening. And he had no idea what to do because he's a man. And I felt like if I had a woman in my life, especially her having to go through something similar as what I'm going through, I feel like it would have been easier for me to get through it. So it just kind of like blossomed all of these other feelings like that I had towards my mom. Like I was just an emotional wreck. So I just want to tell you guys to just stay strong whatever you're going through. If any of you guys have questions for me about PCOS, feel free to inbox me or DM me or however YouTube works. And thank you guys for watching, and remember to stay on that diva status. And I'm trying to end this before I start crying and my camera dies. But I thank you guys for supporting me and watching me and sticking around no matter what I've been through. And I just thank you guys for everything, for supporting me, for checking in on me, for everything that you guys done for me. And I'm gonna beat PCOS. I'm gonna beat this because I don't want my life to be like this for the rest of my life. And so I'm focusing on being a healthier person inside and out, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I thank you guys for everything, and I'm gonna end this video because the tears are rolling. Thank you guys.